Hello, my name is Jeff Rolka, and I had a request for a video about stage fright. Now, call it whatever you want. Stage fright, performance anxiety, little butterflies in the stomach before you head out on stage. Whatever you name it, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Except this is like this is like a dookie rose. It's like the worst smelling rose you've ever had. Because stage fright, or performance anxiety, as I have typically called it in the past, will keep you from giving your absolute best performance. However, I think that energy can be turned to our advantage and propel us to performances that we could otherwise, were we not so energized and motivated, not achieve. But the thing is we have to harness that energy and move it in that direction. And I'm going to tell you my process for how I do that, how I think that we can do that. Before I begin, thank you if you've chosen to subscribe. If you haven't yet, I hope that you will consider doing so now. If you want a step-by-step method to work on your voice, head on over to jeffrolka.com, where there's a free voice method called the AAA method that I wrote that you can check out. And additionally, if you check the downloads link there, you can find, or it's actually shop, I guess. There's also a guidebook to my channel, which can help you codify all of the videos here on YouTube, put them into formats that you can use in useful workouts and ways to focus on what you need. Now, the quick hit here on performance anxiety, if you're watching this on Wednesday and you've got a gig on Friday, short term here, lots of rest, lots of hydration. Stay hydrated. Evaluate your caffeine or any kind of stimulants and things like that you regularly, take. If it's caffeine or tea, or if you're a smoker, all of those things can increase your anxiety levels. And I would question how much of them you consume leading up to your performance. For those that are looking at this as more of a long-term process, I think that there's a couple things we have to assume. One, let's just assume for a moment here that your method of preparation for your performances is adequate. In other words, you're really, really certain on your pieces, you're really, really solid on your preparation, you're comfortable with material. In other words, the question marks about your ability to deliver the goods have all been answered, and the answer is yes. If that answer isn't yes, then your preparation, or lack thereof, may be having an impact on how you are feeling on stage. And until you can satisfy that, this may always haunt you to a certain degree. Now, at a certain point, this will no longer matter. Your level of preparation, you get into the law of diminishing returns. You can never weed out entirely the human element, right? We're only humans after all, I think. This brings us into the realm of what I call performance practice. And this is stage one of evaluating what level of performance anxiety you're dealing with and the things that you can do to try to ameliorate it. So first and foremost, this means taking your repertoire, your pieces that you are going to perform, and removing it from a purely practicing standpoint and looking at performance practice. In a performance practice, we are going to, in the privacy and comfort of our practice areas, construct as realistic a scenario similar to our performance as possible. So if we're standing, we're going to stand. If we're using a mic, we're going to use a mic. Maybe it's not in a PA system, but we're going to record it and evaluate it after the fact. Incorporate as much of what you're actually going to use on stage as you possibly can, and then do a performance, a straight run-through of the song. This will also tell you, by the way, how good your preparation has been. If you're having breakdowns or forgetting things or missing sections, you can take another look at your preparation. What was your feeling like in the process? Did you feel good? Did you notice any kinds of things that may have gotten activated while you're in the performance practice? If no, great, we can start taking a look at moving it forward. If yes, what were those things? And did you do anything in particular that really made it better or made it particularly worse? I know for myself, I need a very, very stable standing point. I need to be very squarely planted on the ground. If I'm not, I tend to lose my engagement. And once I lose engagement, I start to get a little quavery. And then everything starts to fall apart from there. Engagement and support are going to be key players in how our performance practice works. If you've done that and you feel pretty settled, consider inviting in a trusted friend or another musician whom you know that can not necessarily give you feedback, but just be an observer to your performance. Invite them over, but record it as well. See if there's any differences between what you did before, when there were no observers, and how you did with the observer. Did you feel any physical sensations? What was it like? For me, again, and your experience may vary, it's all about the engagement. So I want to feel very grounded in my performances. I very carefully choose my shoes, and I choose what I wear very carefully so that it allows me the freedom of movement, the kind of breathability, and the comfort that I need to be in touch with my physicality while I'm on stage. Now, if we've been successful here, and we've compared our recordings and maybe done it a couple times and we're feeling good, we want to keep on moving the ball down the field. We want to keep on moving forward. So now it's time to think about what your performance is going to be. Are you getting ready for a club gig where you're going to be doing your own songs? Are you getting ready to do an audition? What is it you're getting ready to do? And how can we go to an environment that's higher pressure than just having a friend in the room, but not the actual event yet, because we're gearing up for that. Oftentimes, if they're available, open mics are great things to work out the kinks in. So you might go 1 week and then go the next and go the next and plan it up so that you culminate with whatever performance you're preparing for. See what your experience is like. Now is when we start to really get good information about our process of getting to the performance. So what was your sleep like the night before? What was your eating like during the day? Did you have a really heavy meal before the performance? How did that impact you? Next week, can you change it up? What's the experience? What's your performance anxiety level like? Your performance that you are getting ready for may be different than a club gig, but open mics are oftentimes really good places for us to work out the kinks for live performances. If you're finding that you have a little bit of red light syndrome or performance anxiety around recordings, the process there is a little bit different. An open mic may not help you to get ready to go into the recording booth, but doing as much recording at home certainly can. Again, set up your environment similar to the kind that you feel most comfortable in, or experiment if you're not familiar with that. Some people don't care whether the lights are up or whether the lights are down. I used to think it didn't matter, but then I dimmed the lights and it was way more comfortable. It's what works for you. And if you notice, that's a big part of every step of this process, is determining what works best for you, making a note of it or remembering it, and continuing to utilize that as you do one performance after another. I don't know if we ever entirely conquer performance anxiety, where we're not going to experience it all. In my experience, I have certainly performed with a great enough amount of frequency and attention to the process of performance, such that I would walk on stage and not notice any types of performance anxiety for 2 or 3 gigs. And then something would change and it would come and surprise me. But with our process in place, we mitigate that anxiety to a large degree, and it enables us to go on stage and get sorted out such that we can still get to our A game. And that brings me to what I mentioned very early on in this video. Performance anxiety, I believe, is a naturally occurring thing. The stage is not a natural environment. It's not like a walk through the woods. It's an artificial construct that we enter into, and it's a situation that enables people to get a good look at us, hear us very, very clearly if you're through a PA system, and usually see us with an unobstructed view. We don't normally encounter that in our day-to-day lives unless we're performing every day or very, very regularly. And that brings me to one of the thoughts that I keep very much in my mind when I'm getting ready for performances, which is fear is the energy to do well in a foreign situation. That energy, that anxiety or performance anxiety that we experience, when we take it as a step-by-step process and we put that process into play again and again and again, it becomes this system whereby in the days that precede our performances, we are slowly getting ramped up to take the stage. And when we finally do, that energy just gets harnessed and it comes out and it creates incredibly energetic performances. The anxiety in and of itself doesn't necessarily help us. It's our process in harnessing it. And this step-by-step process that I've articulated here is what I do and what I coach my clients through to help them go from a place where the performance anxiety is keeping them from giving their A game to a place where the performance anxiety is harnessed and is helping them bring something more than they could have done without that additional energy. As always, I do hope this helps. If you have questions or comments, drop them in the comments section or stop by the live event at 6 p.m. London time every Saturday. Thank you so much for watching. Take really good care of your voices. Enjoy singing. Hopefully we'll see you again. Bye.